As me and my baby walked into a store, um, it's a locally owned store, right? And we usually get our ice cream there, right? And it's like a very good ice cream. Usually, it's really natural, I would say, right? Especially in comparison to like all the other ones that are sold out there, right? And so, I was looking for that ice cream, but we couldn't find it, right? So I asked the store owner about maybe possibly some alternative options, right? And so she pointed to another ice cream. She's like, "Oh, this one is really good." And I said, "Okay, is it fairly natural, just like the one that we usually get, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, don't worry, it's natural, right?" And I was like, "Okay." Uh, and so I looked at the back, right? And of course, as a person who likes to check for herself, right? I don't just buy the bull that is, that someone tells me, right? I make sure to check, check for myself, right? To to check if the information that I was just given is accurate, right? And so, lo and behold, I checked the ice cream, right? And the first thing that jumps out at me is carrageenan, right? Carrageenan, guys, okay, it's used as a thickener, right? It's like a preservative also. It's used to make the ice cream appear or taste a little bit better, right? And so it's however, right, there are some issues with that, with the carrageenan, right? It's been linked to colon cancer, okay, and it can also irritate the digestive tract, okay. So, for those that are sensitive to it, right, it can affect them, okay. Those that are not, it probably won't, right? But over time, guys, right, as you consume all of these additives, all of these preservatives, right, all of these thickeners, they can impact your health, okay? You best believe they will impact your hormones, they will impact your health. Of course, a little bit is okay, right? A little bit is not going to hurt anyone, right? But kids are especially vulnerable to stuff like this, right? So, as a parent, right, I have to pay attention. So, I always do, right? And in fact, guys, right, I would just recommend, like, if we were to speak about food, right? If you don't want to get sick, if you want to stay healthy, try to eat food that's not processed, the food that's in as natural form as it gets. So this is what I always try to do, right? But let's get back to that it's natural, right? And so I looked at her and I said, "Well, lady, I'm sorry, but there's the carrageenan, right, which has been linked to cancer, and there's some other things that are questionable here too, right?" And I said, "It's not natural, so why are you telling people that it is?" And she kind of looked at me like, she was kind of like stumped a little bit, like taken aback, right? So basically, the lady, right, knowingly or unknowingly misled me, right? She tried to mislead me. Whether she wanted more sales, right? Whether she just wanted to sell her items, right? Whether she was, ignorant herself about the ingredients, right? That's, we don't know that, right? We're never going to know that unless we ask, right? But, that's the reason, guys, right? That's the reason on why you should always question what you're told, and you should question the source, listen to your intuition when it comes to other people too, right? Who is the source that's providing you with this information? Should they really even be trusted, or do they have some kind of ulterior motives? Like, what is their agenda, right? What are they hoping to get out of telling you certain information, right? Are they hoping to make more money, right? Are they hoping to, I don't know, to gain something, right? Because, guys, everyone always usually, for the most part, people do things for a reason, okay? Even if it's intrinsic gratification, right? If it's perhaps even just like, for example, donating to charity, right? That makes someone feel good, right? It makes them feel good. It makes them feel like they are a good person. It's like confirmation to them, right? So even if it's like internal, right? So it doesn't have to be evil per se, right? It doesn't always have to be evil, but we usually, when we do something, we still gain something out of it, right? And so that gain can also come in the form of, getting something out of you later, or winning your loyalty, right? Or, you know, um, winning your silence even, like for example, narcissistic individuals, right? What they do is they oftentimes they pay someone off financially, right? Because they usually have the funds, right? And so they pay someone off financially, so they kind of like, they get these people on their side. So, or they can also tell that person later on down the road, like, you owe me, It's like an unspoken too sometimes, right? Because this person knows that they've been kind of like paid off, right? So they know that they owe, right, to the narcissist, so they stay silent, right? And so, or they do something, or they show up somewhere, right, even if they don't want to. So it's things like this, right? So anyways, back to the it's natural, right? There was another guy in the store, right? And he was like, oh, I wish they just wouldn't label these things, just like get rid of them, get rid of the nutritional labels, right? And I looked at him and I was like, okay, like I didn't have to say anything. I just gave him a look. I thought that it was a very indecent thing to say. Um, and the lady, the store owner, she looked at him like, oh, you fool, I just lost a customer because of you. you know and she was right, like she was right. I'm not gonna come back to that store again. Because well, first of all, because of something else that I've seen in the past, right? But also because of what happened. And so, yeah, guys, if you can, also try to support those that are decent people that do their research, people that they really do care about you in every way, right? So, people that aren't just out there looking to gain, financially, okay? Like conscious living is what it involves is actually doing your own research, right? And supporting businesses that support us, that support also our health, right? The way that we eat, there are a lot of businesses nowadays, right? They create very natural foods, and they do care about people, and so these are the businesses that we should be supporting. And same goes for investing. If you're investing into stocks with companies that are like evil, right? Or companies that harm, right? Companies that harm the environment, right? Companies that harm people, right? Companies that abuse their workers, right? Companies that use extremely cheap labor overseas, and that abuse those workers, right? Those foreigners, right? That get paid low to nothing, right? And that even like die on during their jobs. That's terrible. There are a lot of companies that basically they create all kinds of environmental damage, right? And they get away with it. They just pay pay people off, and that's it, because they have more than enough money to do that, and they don't care, they simply don't care. So find out, discover who those companies are, like I said before, right, in one of my videos, they usually have the logo 666 on it, or something that has to do with the devil, right? So look at their logo, it doesn't necessarily, it's not always going to have that kind of a logo, right? But in most cases they will, right? Anyway, so yeah, so back to being misled, right? A lot of us are misled, guys, okay? And even during the pandemic, right? A lot of us have heard about the term, and I'm sure most of you have heard this term like way too many times already, right? It's safe and effective, right? Just take it, just use it because it's so safe and effective, right? And suddenly the mainstream news channels are all repeating the same information. It is safe and effective. It's safe and effective, right? What is safe and effective? What, your new experimental gene therapy, like altering gene therapy, is safe and effective? Like, how do you know this? This is new technology that has never been approved in history, and has before, right, it has been shown to like kill rats, right, or damage them when it was tested, or not just rats but like other animals, right? So when it was tested on them, it did a lot of damage basically, or killed them, right? So now you're telling me it's safe and effective, right? There weren't any long-term studies, and there still aren't, right? Because not enough time has really passed, right? So we didn't have any long-term studies that showed us that this whatever, most of you or some of you took, right? Or I hope none of you took. Well, we didn't have any long-term studies that showed us that it was safe and effective, okay? And guys, people still fell for the brainwashing. People still were pressured into it. People still didn't do their own research, didn't follow their intuitions, most importantly, didn't follow their inner guidance, right? Like I said, your rational mind only knows so much, right? But your irrational mind, or not your irrational mind, but your intuition, you will just know information. If you just tune in, right? Then you will be presented with all the information that you need to know about something. Anyway, so yeah, you were told over and over again that it was something that wasn't safe, something that wasn't effective necessarily, okay? You were told over and over again that it was, okay? We were basically all forced, or almost forced into taking them, right? Into taking that, right? And most people didn't even question it, They just did what they were told, and I saw a huge problem there, It goes to show that groupthink is real, right? Peer pressure is real. And that just goes to show that most people are, they care way too much about what other people think about them, And when you care too much about what other people think, or if you care at all, that means you don't truly have a good relationship with yourself. It means that you truly do not love yourself or really care about yourself, okay? Because the only thing that you should be concerned about is having a good relationship with yourself and caring about what you think of you, not what other people think of you, And so you guys, most of you were given into the peer pressure. You gave in because you were afraid of losing your job, right? Because you didn't trust the future. You didn't trust that something else would come, if you did in fact lose your job. You didn't trust the universe. You didn't trust our source to provide for you, And so you did this because you were afraid, right? Because you were living in fear. You were afraid of getting sick perhaps, and you thought that this lie was going to save you, and it didn't, Later on, right, as John Campbell, one of the guys that I've been following, Dr. John Campbell, right? he's saying that right now cancer is on the rise, blood clotting was real, right? A lot of stars or athletes began to fall after these, safe and effective, gene therapies, right? A lot of athletes began to fall. Okay, young athletes, professional athletes began to fall on the field. Okay, or I don't know, whatever they were, right, playing at. So a lot of them died, and people are continuing to die, okay, because of these things, okay, because of the things that, because of what they trusted, okay, they trusted companies that are corrupt at their core, companies that didn't give a damn about you, companies that have a criminal record, basically, okay, companies that made billions off of this. I don't even think that this is about the money, okay, but that's another story, okay. But I do think that we trust the wrong people. Oftentimes we trust the wrong people, sorry, I have hair. Yeah. Anyways, so we trust the wrong people. We don't do our own research. We don't use our intuition to guide us, right? Guys, right from the beginning, I knew something huge was coming, okay? And that's part of the reason why I moved out of the US, right? That's because before COVID hit, right? And so I moved out of there, and I knew these things were not safe and effective. I wasn't going to take it. I just kind of laughed at it, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to take it. Like, you gotta be insane, My intuition was telling me, like, no, don't even think about it, And because I'm very much in tune with myself, right? Of course, I trusted myself, right? I trusted my intuition. So yeah, guys, before you listen to anyone or anything, just question its source. Question the person that's telling you something. Question the corporation that's telling you something. What are their motives? What are they hoping to accomplish? What's their background? Is this a bad person? So question the source that's giving you this information, right? Whether it's in your personal circle, right? Perhaps it's a friend, a so-called friend, right? Or an acquaintance, right? That's telling you something, maybe about someone else, right? Or maybe it's a stranger, right? Maybe they're telling you, some information. They're giving you some information. So question it. It's not always going to be accurate. In fact, a lot of times, especially a lot of times, right? The information that you've been receiving, especially in the past, it's been false. It's been just false information, and it gets repeated over and over and over again, right? By people who don't question this information, and they just accept it as facts, right? When in fact it's not. It's not facts. It's just lies, right? And so, like I said, right? It's time to question the information that you're receiving. It's time to question the source. What do you think their motives are? Are they just plain old ignorant, right? Or do they really have like evil motives behind, what they're saying, right? Or maybe I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of both, right? So yeah, guys, unfortunately, but this is slowly changing too. Actually, it's quickly changing, right? But things are going to be changing from now on. And we are going to have a lot of other companies that will come to the surface and that will be promoted. Companies that are, conscious, companies that care about us, and because it's the people that run these companies that have woken up to their true selves. It's the people that are in alignment with who they are, right? And it's the people that are they want to help humanity. They love their brothers and sisters, you know, so they're operating from love, not from ego, where they just want to gain and where they're self-centered and they just care about themselves, right? And so, yeah, 'tis the season, guys, to question the information that you're told, to question, you know, even the mask wearing, you know. I remember just thinking, this is just such nonsense. Like, I don't even need research to understand that these masks do little to nothing, right? And they did, in fact, do little to nothing. In fact, they created more problems, guys, okay? Not only did they create psychological problems, right, where we couldn't even see our faces. Just think about the impact of that on babies and kids, right? They were the ones that were impacted the most because they couldn't see the expression of other kids, right? They couldn't see the expressions of their parents, right, while they were in masks. So those expressions couldn't be like, their own expressions couldn't be mirrored back to them, right? And that's how they developed. Their brains developed this way, right? And so that's one of the issues, right? Another is you know, breathing in your own bacteria, right? Not getting enough oxygen, right? Getting too much carbon dioxide, right? Nothing gets filtered out, nothing gets in, basically, right? And also the COVID molecule supposedly was way too small. It was way smaller than the opening of the mask, so it could go through anyways. You know, so this was just complete nonsense, you know, so don't just do what you're told, you know. If you know the masks are not working, if we all just stopped wearing them, right, then perhaps we would have been in a much better position and situation, you know. But this alone, this little, right, big deal, I would say, it created a lot of physical health problems, right, and psychological ones too. Okay. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and have a good one.